January was a huge reading month for me. I'm someone who normally reads maybe like 4 books in a month, usually around a book a week. But in January, I managed to get through 8 books, and the average amount of pages was over 400 pages in each book. So it was a huge reading month for me, and I cannot wait to break down every book I read in January. My name is Lucy. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm really excited to share all of the books that I read in January. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. The first thing I read in January was actually a tandem read. It was the Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home and Daisy Hates, The Great Undoing tandem read. So I actually took my annotation tabs to these and I went through them all, and there's so many really good lines in here. Let me find one. This one's in Daisy Hates. I'll remind you that I do love. There are no arms that feel like Christian's arms, like he's just pulled a curtain closed around me and blocked out all the bad, and I have this screaming revelation of all I've lost to gain my normal life. And what normal life? Oh, this was a 5-star read for me. This one was good too, but I think I do enjoy Daisy and Julian and Christian a little bit more than I do Magnolia and BJ. I do really love Magnolia. I would say the first Magnolia Parks book I preferred over Daisy Hates, but this timeline, definitely Daisy Hates was the winner. I won't talk too much about them because obviously it's in the middle of the series, but yeah, this was a really, really good tandem read. I definitely recommend reading them together instead of reading this one first and then this one, just because of how this ends. I don't think I would then want to go back to the beginning of the timeline to start this one. I think it's definitely better to read them together and flick between them if you're comfortable with reading so many POVs at the same time. So these are my first 2 reads in January, this one being a 5-star read, so right out the gate, starting 2026 to be a good reading year for me. I'm so excited to just carry on reading this year. I don't know what's got into me. Like, obviously I've always loved reading, but for some reason, like, January really like set a fire in me to just try and read, and I feel like I'm going to continue doing that throughout February. So these are my first reads of 2026. The next book I read was the book club pick for my local book club, and it is Hamnet. This has just been adapted into a film, but I haven't seen it yet. So I may do a little book versus movie comparison possibly when I do get around to watching this. This book I absolutely loved. I rated it 4.5 stars. It was just a little bit short of a 5-star rating from me, just because I wanted a little bit more of Hamnet. The way the book is described, it only talks about Hamnet, so I really thought that, especially in the first half of the book, Hamnet would be very, very prominent, but there's quite a few tangents where it talks about things quite separate to the main story. I did find it enjoyable, but it just wasn't quite what I was expecting. The exploration of grief from the mother's perspective is really the heart of this book, which is something that I can't personally relate to, but it did also explore the grief felt from a sibling, and that is something that really did resonate with me. Sibling relationships, I feel, aren't explored all too often in a lot of books, so that was something that was really nice to read, but again, I just wanted a little bit more of it really, but I know that isn't what the book was mostly about. It was more about the mother's experience with everything that went on, but yeah, that was Hamnet. Very, very good. Definitely recommend. Then I went back to the Magnolia Parks universe with Into the Dark. I just couldn't stop thinking about how the last books ended, and I really wanted to get back into the series. This is the last book currently written in the series, and it was horrific. I was crying and crying my eyes out, and I can't tell you why because there's spoilers, so that was Into the Dark. This was good, but again, it wasn't up there like Daisy Hates. This was a 4-star. The next book I read is The Girl on the Train. This is a book that's been out for like 10 years now, and my sister had been trying to get me to read it for all that time, and I finally got around to reading it, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really good thriller. I did get the twist, but I still really enjoyed the way it was written. It's got multi-POV, unreliable narrator. It's just got everything that you want, really. Like, it is mysterious. You don't really know what's going on. Obviously, because of the unreliable narrator, you don't know if what you're being told is actually what's happened or if it's something that's in the person's head. It is a thriller that, like, ticks the boxes for all of the, like, mysterious tropes. I don't know, like I do like all of these like classic hooks in a thriller. It's what I gravitate towards them for, and this was a really good one. Again, I have not seen the film of this book, so I may do a book versus movie comparison video. I might do one where I watch like a few all in one video, or I might do individual ones. But yeah, that's The Girl on the Train. This was a good one. I think I rated it 3.5 stars just because it was enjoyable, but I did get the twist. And with a thriller, the main thing for me is, did I see it coming? Unfortunately, with this one, the answer is yes, but it was still a really enjoyable journey to get there. The next book was an audiobook called The Woman from Book Club. This one was another thriller. It was fun. It was really fun. It was a quick read or a quick listen. Again, like there was a few different tropes, multi POV. It was like a silly fun time, and I just loved it. It was giving me a little bit of Frida McFadden the Housemaid vibes, if you've read that. This one is a book that was free on the Audible library, so if you have an Audible subscription, I would recommend you listen to it, because it was a really good one. I think I did have most of the twists figured out, but there was still some stuff that shocked me a little bit. So it was a really good, quick, fun read, and I rated this one 3.5 stars. Then the next book I read, because I had ended up getting back on a little bit of a thriller hook, the last one reminded me a bit of Frida McFadden, so I picked up one of hers, Never Lie. It's been on my TBR for a long while, so I thought it was finally time to pick it up. And I actually saw quite a few other people read this in January as well, so that was not intentional. This book follows a couple who are going to a house viewing, and the person who's showing them around the house doesn't turn up, and they get snowed in. So they let themselves into this house. It's like creepy. They think there might be someone in there. Like it's uneasy vibes in this house. At the same time, we hear the perspective from a psychologist. The psychologist who used to live in that house but was murdered, or she disappeared. And we get to hear stories about some of her clients that were unpredictable or violent, and she has a particular issue with one individual. This is a classic Frida McFadden. She sprinkles the seeds for about 4 or 5 different ways the story could go, and I was still wrong. This is one that really did make me roll my eyes and shake my head when I got to that twist, but it was in a good way, because I read a Frida McFadden book with the joy of being shocked by the twist. If I get the twist in a Frida McFadden, I am disappointed. I want to be laughing and shaking my head and going, oh, of course that is what you decided to do because you're mental. And this book made me do that, so it was a really good fun time. I think I rated this one 4.5 stars. The last book that I read in January was another 5-star read for me. It is The Grey Shear. I absolutely love a bit of feminist dystopia or dystopian books in general. I do really enjoy them when I pick them up. I haven't read loads, but pretty much all of them that I have read I have rated very highly. This book was definitely up there. In the county where this story takes place, when girls turn 16, they are sent off to do the Grey Shear to rid of their magic. So the main question as you read this is the magic real? But that doesn't matter when you get to the end of the book. It's a little bit of a mix between The Handmaid's Tale and The Lord of the Flies. Overall, this book was just so emotional and gripping. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it, and again, the end of this book had me sobbing. My partner was asleep and I was staying up late reading, and I had to cover my mouth to try and hide my sobs because I was bawling so much at this book. So I highly recommend, if you're into like some feminist dystopia, or if you've read any of those classics that this has similar tropes to and would like a refreshing like new twist on it, sort of. Also, parts of this book read a little bit like horror. It's not a horror, it's young adult as well, but it reads like there's quite a bit of gore, so it read a little bit like a horror to me, and I really enjoyed that. I felt like it read a lot darker than YA normally, so I did really enjoy that as well. So this is The Grey Shear, 5-star read for me, and I would definitely recommend you pick this up. So that's all of the books that I read in January 2026. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you agree with what I had to say about them. I'm now cracking on with my February TBR already. I'm 2 books down, so that's a really good start to the month. I'm really looking forward to doing my February wrap up when it comes to it. So although I'm not super sure what my next video will be, I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time with me. It really is appreciated. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye!